Making 3D content is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time and a lot of resources, especially for heavy projects that require heavy stuff, like smoke simulations, fluid simulations, and more. Every stage has to be done on its own. For example, you can't model when rendering, you can't render when simulating, you can't texture while baking. Each stage takes its own time, and most of the time, your PC has to just focus on that specific task and can't do anything else. This is why libraries can be very useful. For example, if you want to set up fluid simulations, instead of spending hours upon hours trying out different fluid simulation settings, you can use Aquaflow Pro, a library of water simulation templates that can help you create advanced fluid dynamics in Blender. Aquaflow uses its own simulation solver to easily and quickly simulate detailed fluids in real time. The materials are set up for you, and you can even use curves to direct the fluids as a force. If you want hyper-detailed 3D scan buildings, you can find them on this page. The textures are well prepared and you really get something close to reality. Modeling this level of detail is nearly impossible, so if you want that, having a library of these 3D scanned buildings would be amazing. When you are making simulations in Blender, you either use the play option and the timeline starts playing the simulation, but you can't do anything else. You can move around in 3D space, but you can't edit or make any changes unless you stop the simulation. Or you can cache or bake the simulation, where basically Blender freezes until the simulation is done, and your computer will be slow as hell, so you won't be able to do anything meaningful either. So a library like this Lazy VFX library is just amazing because someone has put in all that work and time so that you don't have to. Now you just import the VDBs from a collection of over 200 explosions, fires, smoke, and more to save you the stress and time. Like I said in the beginning, most things in 3D can't be done consecutively. You can't model while making materials or texturing. You have to stop modeling, then make materials, or vice versa. So having someone that can do the materials for you while you do other things is going to save you a lot of time. That someone can be Sancta's Procedure Material Library. It's a constantly updated library with new procedure materials, so practically anything you can think of is available in the library. If you prefer using PBR materials to procedure ones, then take a look at this material library. Otherwise, making PBR materials by yourself is going to take you a lot of time. You have to either 3D scan them, which is a very difficult time-consuming method, or use a software like Substance Painter, which is expensive and hard to learn. So if you want to save a lot of money and still get amazing PBR materials, this library should be your best choice. Don't you love it when you just drag and drop more detail into your scene without spending hours on hours tweaking and experimenting with different settings? This particular library has birds, insects, fish, bees, flies, butterflies, sparks, papers, rain, magic effects, and more. These details can be just dragged into your scene to turn a boring render into an epic cinematic masterpiece. We can't talk about libraries that save time without talking about Botanic. If you have ever modeled a tree, you know what I mean. Trees are hard to make, so I'm glad that this library exists. They categorize different trees, which makes it easy for tree experts, arborists, which just sounds like a made-up word. But yeah, it makes it easier for arborists or tree experts to find what they want. And for non-tree experts like me, we just look at the thumbnails and find what looks best in your scene. The add-on also has a great library of photorealistic grass assets that it can perfectly scatter onto any mesh. Most libraries are just a collection of static meshes like trees, cars, and different things. BP GeoGen is different. It's a collection of procedural geometry nodes generator that can generate ships, cars, hanging cables, bush generators, antenna generators, fire generator, hair and fur, rock generator, sign generator, ice generator, portal, vegetations, and more. You just drag generator into your scene and it will be able to generate hundreds of variations of different objects. One of the reasons some renders don't look as good as they should is because the artists did not pay the sky and environment as much attention as they should have. Remember, for most renders, the sky will take up at least 30 to 20% of the image, and even when it's an interior scene, sky reflections can add a lot of detail and contrast into the image. A good sky can provide rich lighting detail for anything, so spend some time on making the perfect sky to get perfect lighting and perfect reflections. If you don't have the know-how or time, this physics starlight and atmosphere gives you the best render quality. Their skies are rich in detail, have an atmosphere, and can be edited to fit in whatever scene you are making. If you are making urban scenes, you need urban assets. You need buildings, cars, roads, street lamps, lights, tunnels, posters, billboards, and more. All these are included in the Botanic City Asset Pack. They all come properly textured, real-world scale, and ready to use. To make your cities feel more alive, add some smoke effects. It's a great way to make them feel lived in, active, and dynamic. The atmospheric add-on is a library of a number of smoke effects you can easily drag and drop into your scene for an extra layer of detail. Water is a great way to hide lack of detail in your render. When your scene is boring, you can slap in a simple water material and it will look cool. But when it comes to render water up close, then you need to bring in the big guns. The physical open water add-on renders water detail because in close-up shots, you really need it. It's also optimized to add more subdivisions where the camera sees and less subdivisions where the camera doesn't or in far away areas, which makes it more efficient and effective at rendering detailed water. If you have a low-spec computer or you want to render your animations faster but you have a dense forest in your scene, try using alpha trees. Instead of using actual trees that have hundreds of polygons, it uses a texture plane that is always facing the camera. It comes with a number of trees, so you can easily make a diverse forest in just a few clicks, and your forest can be as dense and as large as you want. A lot of artists are into post-apocalypse renders, where the buildings are destroyed, decaying, or damaged. The City Builder add-on can help you easily achieve that without spending hours and hours slaving away to make your render. This collection comes with different tools and assets to help you make renders faster and easier. Maybe you want an Egyptian themed city with temples, pyramids, sculptures, and ancient ruins. The next building library has it all. It's a collection of high quality procedural materials and PBR materials that you might need for a scene like this. Thank you for watching. All links are going to be provided in the description if you want to check these libraries out.